Ooh, racism sure is expensive.
Tariffs are having a real impact right here in the Treasure State, with farmers and ranchers feeling it firsthand. Food systems moving out of the country, prices on food and tools going up, and broken trade relations are just a handful of the issues.
Sounds like you could use a little socialism in your life.
Nobody wants to do business with us, whether it's Japan, Australia, Europe, Paraguay, anybody. They don't want to do business with us because they have no idea what's going to happen.
I put this on everything I love. If given the opportunity to vote for them again, they would.
It's not just Montana farmers feeling the pressure. Data from Bloomberg shows 173 small farms across the country have filed for bankruptcy since President Trump took office.
Now, as they enter the fuck around to find out phase, we are going to be the ones paying for it. So this is a bittersweet moment.
Price is going to go up for moving outside the country, and the price is going to go up for increased labor costs, and the price is going to go up because of tariffs. So
it's kind of hard to feel bad for them. They wanted immigrants out of the country so bad that they did not think logically.
Good high quality food is going to become food of the rich.
Have the day you voted for. Hard news now, facts, details, opinionated.
In Pennsylvania's Trump country, where he won 75% of the vote, farmers are finding out what mass deportation actually means. This is John Painter. He voted for Trump 3 times. He runs an organic dairy farm. He hired a Mexican couple who worked for him for 2 years. Great workers, paid taxes. Then the husband got pulled over in New York while visiting family, and eventually he was deported, and his wife followed him. Painter lost his workforce. Now he is scrambling to find new help. Now meet Tim Wood. He is another Trump voter and a dairy farmer. Thanks to Trump's mass deportations, he now cannot find consistent workers. The stress is literally giving him a heart condition. His doctor asked about his biggest stressor, and his answer was, if I'm going to have workers tomorrow. He's had to sell 100 head of cattle because he has no one to help him care for them. The U.S. agricultural workforce fell by 155,000 workers. That's about 7% between March and July. But one farmer said, people don't understand, if we don't get more labor, our crops don't get picked. Now, we don't know if these farmers were anti-immigrant before, but they are definitely not now. Here's Painter talking about his now deported employee. I understand that he was here illegally, but I also understand that he's human. They want the American dream, and they want to work. He now admits that he's, quote, very disappointed in Trump's immigration policy this term. But here's the thing. Trump literally campaigned on mass deportation. This is not a surprise policy twist. I guess a lot of people just don't understand what policies mean until they affect their own lives. Maybe that's a lesson for all of us to think more deeply about what and who we're voting for. Because it turns out when the leopard comes for your face, it doesn't care whose flag is hanging on your wall.
I feel like this is the perfect time for me to talk about this as I wear a John Deere t-shirt. I am engaged to a 6th-generation farmer who is a liberal, who has never voted for a Republican. And I personally do not feel bad for the Arkansas farmers. Who I do feel bad about is farmers in general, because there is this mindset that all farmers are conservative Republicans, and that is simply not the case. I grew up my grandfather was a farmer, so I know about farming. I always have. But watching my fiance love farming with all of his being, it genuinely breaks my heart, because I know that there are people who pay attention, like my fiance's parents, who do not support Donald Trump because he does not do anything to support farmers, actually. It's really sad because he wants his buddies to buy your family farm for pennies on the dollar. He wants these big corporations, these private equity firms that J.D. Vance is involved with, to buy your family farm from out from under you for pennies on the dollar. That's what he wants. That's what it was. It was very obvious, but y'all just didn't listen. And I feel bad for us. I do not feel bad for you, because we are now the collective and you fucked us over.
Everyone, it's Anthony. It's late in the night over here. So I'm Trump farmers or voters who own farms and decided to vote for Trump. They are finding out the hard way. I watched an interview whereby a farmer was asked why did he vote for Trump when he knew that Trump's policies were against his business, his farm business. Farming is a business, if you consider so. And they said that during the first Trump's term, they suffered a bit, but now they expect that even though they suffer a bit, they will recover in a short time. Now it's 6 months in after tariffs, and they are still in trouble. No one is ordering their produce. Mm. They are asking for bailouts because in the next one or so years, I saw over 400 major firms will file for bankruptcy. It's messy.
So I want to talk about this article really quick because it's all starting to make so much sense right now. This author and journalist was having lunch with friends. There was a white guy and he's married to a black lady, and they were talking politics. And he says that farmers weren't worried about Trump deporting migrants because, wait for it, they thought because unemployment was so high for black people, that these black people would run back to the fields and do the jobs that the migrants were doing when they got deported. So she asked, like, where'd you get that information from? White farmer TikTok or MAGA Facebook memes? Like, where'd you get this information from? And her and the wife basically started giving him information, letting him know unemployment is only 6.8% for African Americans, and 93% of black people are currently working. Got so caught up in what they were hearing at Fox News and other places, thinking black jobs, immigrants are taking black jobs, that they just assumed they'd get rid of the immigrants and black people would take the immigrants' jobs. Sir, our ancestors did not march, die, and fight for civil rights so we could go back to the fields? Like, what? But shout out to the Latino immigrant population that have mastered that labor with skill and stamina. This country doesn't even appreciate it enough. Oh, and by the way, when they do try to hire Americans, black or white, to do those jobs, most of them don't even last half a day. They just ghost them without even picking up their paychecks. True story. So y'all, tell me, do you really believe that they thought black people were planning to replace immigrants in that labor force if they got deported? Because I need to know who was smoking that logic. What do you think?
I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I love seeing leopards eat faces. It is one of my favorite things to see. Especially faces that knew they were gonna get eaten if they voted this way.
I've never been as worried as I am now.
You better be.
Whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is. And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old. And I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm. After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Yeah, much worse.
In the spring. So my son will not be the second generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here.
I mean, we told you guys. We told you this for months, years. The economy is dog shit. If you elect Donald Trump, it's going to fucking collapse, basically. But no. No, you didn't want that. And now your farms are gonna disappear. And farmers are fucking important as shit. Those motherfuckers give us food. Donald Trump don't give a fuck about that. Donald Trump's gonna eat. He's rich. Fuck you and me. Fuck us when it comes to eating. That's why he doesn't give a fuck. Donald Trump will never give a fuck. I think we're too fucking deep into shit. I don't even know how to fix this. If it's even possible to be fixed, it's gonna take decades to get back to some kind of normality. Decades.
J.D. Vance wants U.S. farmers to go bankrupt. Let me explain. The vice president is invested in a company called Acre Trader. Think of Acre Trader as the equivalent of buying stock in a company. Instead of buying one condo, you invest in a company that owns 200. This company profits off of selling farmland to investors through shady LLCs. Of course, the problem with LLCs is you don't necessarily know who owns the farmland, including whether or not there are ethical dilemmas. When you're looking to buy a stock, what do? You buy low and sell high, and that's exactly what's happening with Acre Trader. Acre Trader is buying up property that goes into bankruptcy, farmers who are losing their livelihoods after generations. Now, if you wanted to buy cheap property, what would you do? Perhaps create tariffs that put undue burden on farmers that might cause them to go into bankruptcy? Just a thought. Yet somehow a vast majority of farmers in the United States voted for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. But the issue I have is I've already done a bunch of the work, already paid for the material, already paid for the labor, so I'm out all that cost, and I use my farm operating expenses in order to do those projects, because per contract I knew that I was going to get cost sharing refunds on the stuff once completed, but now that it's completed they're saying that they're unable to provide the funds because of the freeze on the Inflation Reduction Act funds. So I reached out to a couple different senators and Congress people. So I reached out to Ann Wagner's office. I have not heard back from them. I reached out to Josh Hawley's office. I have heard back from him, not from him personally, but from his office. And they are looking into it because they said that this should not be happening. The intention was not to take away the funding from the farmers, but doing the Inflation Reduction Act, cutting those costs, then it's also taken away from the programs that those programs helped out. So it's in the works, but what I need from you guys is if you could please share this, tag your representatives, tag your senators. I need to get some ground on this because I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even like, so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding. They can't release the funds. So please tag the representatives. Please tag the senators. I need to get some ground on this. We need to help me and other farmers out. We've got to get this funding paid out. I don't care if they don't do it in the future. The problem is there was contracts in place. Multiple farms made business decisions, and multiple farms are going to sink if we don't get...
Yeah, I want to jump on the bandwagon of saying that I regret my vote for Trump. My whole family does. My husband and I own a farm in Ohio that was funded through the Inflation Reduction Act, which Biden signed into law. And now the executive orders from Trump are rolling back all of that funding for us. So now we can no longer afford our farm. And when all that happened, it was like a lightning bolt hit my brain. And I realized that I shouldn't just be voting for myself, that Trump's policies and EOs are hurting millions of people. But it took it affecting me personally to understand what I had done was wrong. And I think it's really important for anyone to come out who voted for him and is now negatively impacted by the executive orders, or maybe you have friends or family, especially in minority communities, who are being very heavily impacted by what's going on right now. So yeah, I think it's time for us to stop being so selfish maybe and to vote for what's best for the country instead of just in our tiny little bubble, because we're all in the same boat now and we're all equal.
Trump saying that smart people don't like him. That's what Trump say. If these guys voting for Trump, if they were given an option, again, let's say if another election was tomorrow, a presidential election, I repeat, probably, they will still vote Trump in. Don't know. That's how brainwashed they are. Trump is against everything they stand for. But still, majority of them vote for him. So now our farms are being sold to the corporates. Yes, that's what they're doing. When these farmers go bankrupt, they sell to these corporates who then leave the farms idle so that grocery prices can skyrocket and they can profit from that. Yes, that's how the likes of JD Vance they are doing. They are buying these farms, leaving them idle so that there can be food shortage in our stores, and then prices can skyrocket. Who gets benefits? The shareholders.
Bad news to the U.S. economy thanks to Donald Trump. UPS today has announced they will be laying off 20,000 employees and closing over 70 facilities between now and June because of Donald Trump's tariffs. UPS gets a large portion of their business, their delivery business, from Amazon. Amazon, because of the tariffs, are seeing a great reduction, and if you look at the prices, you'll see why, in the shipments that are being requested for Amazon. So they know they're going to need less. So therefore, UPS is laying off 20,000 now. It may be more later when all these other businesses slow down. More and more and more, thanks to Donald Trump's tariffs. All of these tariffs are unnecessary. They do nothing to help the economy. They do nothing to help Americans. They're going to cost us jobs. They're going to be detrimental to people. And it's all thanks to Donald Trump and his infinite wisdom, which is clearly it's infinite. It's so infinite we can't even see it. Also work for a company that's impacted in some way by Donald Trump's tariffs where they're laying off people. Let me know. You can DM me. I won't use your name, but I'm trying to put this out to let people know the reality of how Trump is making America great again. MAGA, this is really making America great again by causing companies to have to lay off people because of a tariff that was not useful in any way whatsoever, period. Clearly not thought out. Clearly, none of this is helpful to America or U.S. citizens in any way, shape, or form. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. And I'm sorry if you've been negatively impacted by this. Everybody that does anything in the U.S. basic is going to be impacted by Trump and this, and everybody's going to feel it. Thank you, Donald Trump. You truly care about the American people. There's only one thing you care about, and this is not it.
So let me get this straight. Farmers all over America are now coming to the realization that USAID was valuable and that immigrant labor was important and that government subsidies are kind of critical and that global warming and droughts and everything else are real. Who knew?
Well, it looks like Trump has finally pissed the farmers off. Let's get into it. The report is in. The U.S. farmers went from a $12 billion trade agreement with China to zero. His mass deportations have left the farmers with no workers or hardly any. Then on top of that, his increase in tariffs made them lose one of their biggest buyers, which was China. Now China is going to Brazil and Africa. This is your wonderful president. A lot of farmers have had to file bankruptcy. A lot of farmers are losing their farms. Yet and still, we have the wonderful president sitting up in the Oval Office, signing. Take a listen to this farmer who did an interview explaining the struggle that they're having.
Disappearing profits are making it nearly impossible for them to break even, let alone to turn a profit. One of those farmers calls the president's tariffs, quote, the ice cream on top of a cake of a perfect storm. He joins us now, Arkansas farmer Scott Brown, who attended last week's town hall. Scott, really good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about what's happening with your farm.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
Zero?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Yeah, if we got 100% of everything else, we would still only have half the Chinese business.
Well, what are you getting right now if you're not getting China? Are you getting every other market out there?
Or probably some other countries, and the market's pretty stifled. Most of our soybeans here go to the Mississippi River. It's the closest place to market them. They're going to go downriver and go overseas somewhere at some point. Beans are about 10.28 on the board today. We're going to get 40 cents behind that as a basis because the elevators are going to want to control their hedge. It's going to cost us 50 or 60 cents in a truck to get there, so we're getting in the low nines. And Purdue University will tell you it takes $12.03 to raise them.
Okay, so you farm
So we're
soybeans.
losing.
You farm 800
Yes,
acres.
ma'am.
You know, $0 coming from China. That's a problem. How are you going to pay your bills? Are you turning a profit? Are you breaking even?
I hope to break even this year. I farm so little, I farm by myself. My tractors are all paid for. They're old. They're 50 years old. My tractors were all made in the 70s. My combine was made in 1997. I cut a load of beans, put it in the truck, and haul it to the river myself. So I've got a lot less cost than most of these boys. I've got friends that farm 5 and 6 and 7,000 acres that have million.
This is why one great man said, it's not about black or white. It's the context of the person's character. And this is the character that you guys voted for. Donald Trump and his administration is causing the farmers to fail. Like, comment, share, and follow me for more controversial topics.
Someone on my timeline was telling me that let's build these farmers out because they are the backbone of our food supply in our country. Probably true, probably not. Let's look, for example, tomatoes, we get them from Mexico. Avocados, we get them from Brazil. Coffee, Brazil. So, our farmers, mostly what they produce, they export. They export. So, when you tell me, let's build them out, that's outright socialism. Yes, that's outright socialism. If probably they feed our nation, can consider building them out. But if they produce to export, they should vote according to their business interest because this is a business. This is a business. Yes, this is a business. And your business, like farming and people who do shipping, importing, export, those business, a president really affects your business to a greater extent, their policies. Trump is so against that, and majority of Americans still vote in. And as I usually say in my channel, Republicans leave the government at a worse place than they received it. And if a Republican receives a good economy from a Democrat president, they take credit for it. That's what Trump has been campaigning on. Obama left him a good economy. Biden left him a good economy. But that is destroying it in favor of his billionaires. There is this Elon Musk before he got away from the government. He was the head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. He claimed that they cut billions of US dollars, which was to go to waste. Trump said that this money, we will rebate them to citizens. Have you received your check from the government, from Dutch cards or from tariffs. Have you? Because I've not. So guys, stay safe. Focus.